Hi everyone, I hope you're well. This next video will be about a mythical creature's head. It is something that you can play with and make it up, of course, and it is something that would be a nice gift for anybody that's young, I'm talking about really, and even for children. And what I would like to say is that please don't go and grab something that is copyrighted. If you're going to look up images, grab something off the internet that is copyright free, royalty free, and then adapt it to your own use. Now, I have chosen a tumbler because, okay, you can call it a whiskey glass, but obviously youngsters, anyone can drink out of this. You can have cool drink. Anyway, so a twisty shape, an interesting shape, and I grabbed off the internet a horse's head which I have manipulated, and I have drawn, there we are, hang on if I do that. I have fiddled with it, I've added to it, I've added a horn, it's my own little horn on the front, and I've given it more hair. I'll possibly add even more hair still when I'm engraving it, I'm not sure. I made the eyes a little bit more doughy, but I mean really it's not going to look exactly like that, but it just gives us a basis to work from. Clearly a unicorn. So I mean a unicorn doesn't exist, but it's a horse with a horn. You can put sparkles. I thought about putting sparkles sort of floating around the horn, and I thought, no, I won't. But you could if you wanted to. And I say that because someone asked me the other day when I had to sandblast a basic unicorn, and they said, can you put sparkles on? And I thought, why? I don't know. What do I know about unicorns? Anyway, so that is what I'm going to put on there for you. And it's going to be the simple thing, stick it behind the glass. Because it's a really strange shape, I thought there's no such thing as a front, like that is the front or that is the front. It's really wonky. But I thought that I would sort of have it coming from that ridge there and sort of into this area of the glass. So it's sort of slightly off center, slightly skew with, and it doesn't matter. I think that'll be great fun, and it should look really nice. And as I say, that can be for anyone as a gift. So let us have some fun. And here we have our little image stuck to the inside of the glass. Now I'm pointing out the positioning. I've marked down the point that's in the middle from the bottom corner, the front corner, straight upwards, and it's roughly the middle of the horse's head. And I've drawn a green line down the left-hand side where that curve is. So I have in my hand my drill with a very small diamond burr, and I'm just going to pick up the very tiny details around the eyes. Now, another learning curve with this new camera setup coming from above. As you can see, I'm only just showing you the water drip is in the way. This is a new thing as well, a new phenomenon which I've got to get rid of. So sorry about that. It generally is better, but little things like that will be ironed out. I will get on top of it. Right, so just adding in a couple of the smaller details, a few basic outlines. With this little diamond, you can use a white Arkansas. Quite often I do, as you know. It was really because I was starting with the details around the eye that I have the diamond, and quite frankly I just carried on with it. You can manipulate, do whatever. If I wanted the edges that I've done an outline with to be darker, I will go over with a white Arkansas and polish. I'm certainly not going very deep. That's the main thing. Right, I've turned the glass because I'm wanting to create a basic line. Now, this is interesting because you'll see the offset, what I'm looking at and what you're looking at, the two different angles, and it's a little bit irritating. I'm doing a very simple outline of this horn, and it doesn't include the full thickness of it. It's just inside the rounded bits, just so that I've got a position. So now what I'm doing with a little diamond is very, very simply filling in those little black rounded areas, but keeping within the line that I've created with the white Arkansas. I am not doing the outer roundedness, if you like. It's ridiculous. You can't see it because I've really got to get on top of that. You will see it when I take the picture away. I've done very basic little almost oblong shapes within that white Arkansas area. And then I will add the rounded bits much later when I can see what's going on. I've got a large diamond in the drill now, and I am roughly, when I say roughly, that's my kind of engraving, fast and furious. It's I'm going over where I see the whitest areas. This is a very simple way of doing this. I'm doing this so that you can see how you can create something from an image very easily by tracing it. I won't generally always do this myself, but certainly for you guys, and not all of you, obviously, but the ones that are learning and the ones who are not confident with their art, if you look up even empty colouring in images on the internet, you will find basic shapes of horses, and some of them are pretty well drawn actually, and they are copyright free ones, and you can put that behind the glass and trace it as simply as I'm doing it, and you end up with a magnificent piece of art. Anyway, so back to my engraving. As you can see, I'm going over all the whiter areas. And interestingly, where I see that it is a little bit lumpy, if you like, to use the most basic terms, only because I don't know the names of the anatomy, the anatomy bits. He's got that big fat cheek kind of rounded area, and I've pressed a little harder, and I have created more of a depth there. And also coming over the eyes, the eyebrow area, I have gone slightly deeper. I'm not carving out the entire thing deeply, so it's just a little bit deeper in the odd area, so that it adds an interesting little undulation, and the light will pick that up later. So still filling in it. I could have used a larger diamond, quite frankly. I nearly did. And then I thought, most people have got this sort of size diamond, and you can produce just the same sort of effect. Just takes a little bit longer to do all the colouring in. You know what I mean. So you can smooth it out. If you wanted to really smooth it out, like a baby's bottom, you can get yourself a stone of some sort, like a green stone later on, and just generally smooth it out. But I love texture. I love to be able to see a brush stroke. To me, that is art. And so I just get gouging in there with my big fat diamond, and creating lines. Okie dokes. So without, the smaller areas like there, I should really be taking a smaller diamond, but I'm quite used to using the big one very carefully. But where you are engraving smaller areas, use a smaller diamond. You don't want to go over the edges, because once you've gone over the edges, give this poor fellow a fat lip. You just don't want to do that. And to get back from that is very difficult. Now my head's starting to get in the way. That is interesting. Boy, we've got a bit of learning to do with this new overhead angle poise camera holder. I'm sure it's going to be better in the long run. I keep trying to talk myself into it. Right, so White Arkansas, and I'm actually very lightly going over in the area and then going deeper and in little rounder movements though it doesn't look like it, but yeah, I did do slightly rounder movements for the actual eyeball area, and never forgetting to stop for a moment in the middle of it and then work your way outwards, because otherwise you'll end up with a donut eye. I have sped this video up to 120% of normal speed in places, certainly in this section, so we are going a little bit faster. So I've got the diamond back in, and I'm just adding a little bit more, really sort of the hair area without going too deeply. I am just creating a background bit of solidness, if you like, and then now I've got my diddy little diamond back in the drill, and I am adding some individual bits of hair. There's no ways I'll stick to my little scribbly drawing, obviously. That was just to give me an impression, and so I'm just adding. And now, as you can see, I'm coming down into the white engraved area as well and pressing relatively deeply into that, just so that you can see there's something going on there. Don't worry, we will be doing quite a lot to this hair to build up texture and depth and shading, and of course not forgetting the old fringe. An interesting thing happened, as quite often does. You get to the end of the video, the end of everything. You take some photos and have a look at them, as I have done this evening at home while doing the editing. And I looked at my horse and I thought, that horn is coming straight out of his right ear. Or out of behind his right ear. So that will not do. And it just made me laugh. I sat here and I giggled. I thought, right, I've done an entire video, an entire unicorn, which is now sitting on my cabinet. And I hadn't noticed that it needed some more hair in front. You can't notice it yet, but later on you'll notice it. I will be adding more hair in front of the base of it, so that it sort of moves into the middle of the forehead. No, the middle of the sort of top of his head, the crown of his head. Okay, right. I've taken, obviously, away the image, and before I put it down, I just want to reposition those little details. I have polished with a little brown rubber the eye and that sort of area and given a nice sheen, and so we're just adding a tiny little bit of detail in there. Right, now here's a stone I don't often use, and I don't know whether you have got any. I don't even sell them, but they must be around. It's a pink stone, It equates to maybe a slightly smoother greenstone, because sometimes greenstones are, and it depends where you get your stones from, because some places sell all sorts of colors, and I wouldn't be able to tell you what effect they have. This has got an effect that's somewhere between a white Arkansas, which is very dark, and a much brighter stone. It's slightly smooth, but it does have the odd little scratch in it. It's quite interesting, and I sometimes use it for hair, where you want like an older lady's hair with little bits of grey going on, and it does that. It just adds it in automatically. And if it's too rough, then you run it against a stone, and it'll smooth it a little bit. So here I'm going over all those areas that I don't want to be clear glass, bringing it all to the surface, and adding that automatic sort of half tone, which is a very useful tone. I sometimes feel a white Arkansas at this point is too dark. Actually, speaking of that, you could use a very smooth diamond, the fine diamond, as opposed to a rough diamond burr, and that will also do a similar sort of effect. So I'm just filling in, as you can see, basically even the clear areas in the hair strands, because we're going to be adding a lot more hair of light and dark. But that has solidified the whole creature, and that's really important. So here I've got a rubber, and it's a soft rubber. As you know, I like my soft rubber, and I'm just roughly going over and rubbing out the darker areas. I never press that hard with it. It's only a light pressure, and you can see that it will instantly soften the areas. I have got a white Arkansas that's flat on the top, and I'm showing you, if you want to make your little white Arkansas flat on the top, just hold it up against a stone, and you can hold it up another stone burr, against a stone burr if you like. On my little test piece of glass, holding it on its side, I am going to create some little hair-like effects. I want to see how they behave, or how this burr is behaving. And the beauty of the white Arkansas is that it will cut through and create hair easily on top of other engraving. Whether it's light or whether it's dark, it'll just slice through it. You can see it's looking like white strands now, but in actual fact, those are little dark strands of hair that have appeared over the diamond work. As I say, you can experiment as well, because when you push this, it depends which way the drill is spinning. Now, there's another thing. Depends which way it's spinning, but the way I've got it spinning, when I'm pushing away from me, this particular burr will create a darker effect. If I pull it towards me, it has a slightly different effect. It actually is lighter. Now, it is at this point that I should have seen that we need to put some fringe on this side of the horn, and I will be adding that. It's just a few simple little hairs, that's all. As you can see, I may or may not add it to this video, but you will see in the end picture that I've added some more hair, because it looks like he should have two of these horns and one is missing. Oh, never mind. Okay. Just smoothing out some of this area. He looked like he had got some serious growths going on his neck, so just a little bit of smoothing. I say he, maybe it's a she, I don't know. Crumbs, I even shaded that area, but really, you got to stand back and look at a glass. And I think, taking a photograph and then looking at the photograph is a brilliant way to check something out. This is a dark rubber, a harder rubber, that's a rubber wheel, which has a very, very strong effect. So I don't press very hard. I've just touched up to create some darker areas on the unicorn. Going back to what am I doing here? Okay, I'm sharpening an very old rat's tail. As you can see, it's quite short at this point. So I'm sharpening it to get down to the new diamond. Talking about taking a photograph and checking something out. It works the same for looking at an outfit you're wearing, for example. Looking in the mirror doesn't quite work sometimes, but if you take a photograph and then look at the photograph, then you see a better idea of what your outfit looks like. Now, clearly, I don't really know how a horse's hair goes, but maybe the wind is blowing and it's just parting it just there. Sorry, I don't know horses very well at all. I've just engraved them. But because I'm making this one up, I'm not following an exact image. So my unicorn's hair will do whatever I want it to do. Whether it's right or wrong. Now, I've got a big diamond here, and I just thought I would add some highlight, just a little bit of brightness. It's working. It adds a lot of brightness when it's dry. Nice sparkle, and that's pushing that horn right into the ear hole, right in behind that ear. Oh dear. And where's the other ear? Actually, in the picture, I did look at the other ear earlier, and it is directly behind the horn. And it's sort of flattened a bit. Now, here I've got a sort of a medium-sized, smallish burr, and I am creating now the little rounded bits that I had omitted deliberately, of course, to add in the beginning. I wanted to wait until I could see what's going on, and I was ready to complete the shapes of these little sections, the little, I don't know. That's starting to look a little bit more like a unicorn's horn. And then to finally neaten up those little edges, I sort of bend them over with this very, very small diamond, and then come in the other direction at the bottom. So it's like a super duper little helter-skelter horn. With a very neat straighter bit at the top. Okay, starting to look rather nice, I think. Just add a couple of little bits of light in the eyes, or one is part of the eyeball, the other's a little sparkle. A little brown rubber to just soften under the eyelid a bit. And neatening the bottom edge of the creature, I have just decided to use a diamond, big diamond, and just push in a sort of, not a harsh line edge, but not a rough and ready one. I've just neatened it up a little bit. And now in my fingers I have my soft rubber, because I often do this if I want a very gentle shade. Now a little white Arkansas, and I am just finishing off in between these little areas, and I'm hardly touching the glass. I'm not pressing hard at all, because if I did, I would darken that whole edge. But all I'm doing is just very lightly giving it a density. Back to a little diamond, and now I am adding some more strands, slightly bolder strands of hair. So our hair, we've done a lot on this hair, haven't we? I mean, I have. Lots and lots of layers, and that is what makes it look so real. You need lots of layers. And it's not as though it's difficult. It's really quite simple. Light and dark and light and dark. Still not happy with his eye. Just felt I needed to polish that center bit a little bit more. Neatening up the front of his face. Just the white Arkansas, because in actual fact this area is often very dark, and I didn't want to polish it necessarily, but just using this burr gives me the tone that I wanted. But I do want to polish the mouth. Okay, so I do polish the bottom a bit. I don't remember doing that. That's so funny. And now the edge of the mouth. Sort of a heavier eyelid, making him look a little bit dozy. I'm just standing back and seeing all the little things, and I still don't get to see the fringe. Never mind. Signing and dating the glass as always. And there you go. All done. Apart from the fringe, which I will add as soon as I get to the office tomorrow. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed that. And certainly have a go at a unicorn. Bye for now.